I want to ask you guys first, you were at the Vermont Green FC game this past weekend, playing a pro club, Westchester SC. 0-0 after the full time. It goes to penalties. Vermont Green FC loses. But tell me about the game. I mean, were they in this thing the whole time? Was it as close as it appeared?
Yeah, I mean, Vermont Green outshot Westchester in that game. It's pretty incredible to go through that tournament for Vermont Green, not allow a goal, and still be eliminated. It's really tough, but it shows that they have the juice to be able to compete with these full-time pro clubs.
Nathaniel, the atmosphere, what was it like at Virtue Field?
It was buzzing as usual. I think I remember I talked to Green head coach Chris Taylor before the first U.S. Open Cup game, and he had told me about the last time they were in the Cup in 2024, about how the atmosphere there is just different than it is in their other games, and how they had gotten through the playoff run in the USL2 championship last year. And so they've played in a lot of big atmosphere and energy moments. But I think Wednesday was most certainly one of them. The crowd was there and they were loud.
So, Vermont Green FC has already defeated one professional club, right? Didn't they beat Lexington at some point?
They beat Lexington and they beat Portland Hearts of Pine earlier in this Open Cup.
I mean, it's just tremendous at this point. Again, this is a USL 2 team.
Yes.
Not one yet, but they're kind of showing what they can do. Well, let's bring in a player who was actually playing for Vermont Green FC. Brandon Marshall is with us. Hey, Brandon.
Hi, guys. How are we?
We're doing all right, man. Hey, listen, congratulations on yet another terrific game. What did it feel like from the players' perspective, being out there with this pro club? I mean, did you guys feel going into the game that you could run with them no matter what?
Yeah, I mean, I think from the start, it's such a great opportunity for some college guys to go and, get this kind of opportunity to play against some pro guys. I think we found out, from the Portland game that we're able to kind of play with anyone in this type of tournament. And, we felt very confident going in this game. And we kind of showed it, throughout, the 120 minutes, we felt the better team. And, when you look back on the game and the reports, a lot of people thought the same as us. So it's unfortunate not to get a result, but, you can't be more proud of these, guys with their efforts and fights throughout the past couple of weeks.
B. Marsh, you guys come into this U.S. Open Cup run here without a lot of training and a lot of practices. You take on two professional clubs who had this whole preseason to prepare for their USL 1 seasons and the Open Cup. Does that give you guys an advantage, almost feeling like this is pickup soccer for you guys? There's not a lot of time to think about what could go wrong, what could go right, or would you rather have the full off season of preparation to prepare for the club that you're going to play?
I think, obviously you'd want that time together. I think, the professional teams had the upper hand of having their guys together, day in, day out, anywhere from January till these upcoming games. But the luxury of us is, we had the best players in college soccer with us at the time, and, being able to show our quality. And we might not have had the most trainings, but, we kind of showed how good we are in the sense individually. And, being able to put that together in such a short time is something that you can't, ask much more of. So, you wish you could have that time, but, we played the hand that we were dealt, and being able to have guys buy in off of, maybe the max of 36 hours together. It's, something that you have to tell your hat to some of these guys. So, we wish we could have got the time together, but, I thought we've put some, great performances that we could, over the, I guess, kind of 2 or 3 days that we had.
Brandon, Jack alluded to it. You've played a few years of college ball at Providence, and you were on the green last year was your first season. You went through the whole run, the undefeated run, and won the championship. Now that you have played in the U.S. Open Cup for the first time, I'm wondering how those three environments compare, and maybe do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I think my favorite so far is probably, I think my favorite game has been the USL 2 national championship last year. Probably a perfect day. The weather was great. 5,000, almost 6,000 fans there. I think, you're able to take so much from each experience, being able to play my college ball, right up the road at Providence, and having that connection with my staff there and the staff of Vermont. You can kind of learn so much there. And then in the sense of the Open Cup, for me, there has been much better football experience than to play against, professional squads. So I think there's so much luxury in the three, but for me, my favorite was probably the USL 2 final, and the whole kind of journey to get there, and just the group of guys we had. It was such an unreal summer.
Brandon, I'm wondering too about the position you play on the field. Tell us a little bit about where you play and what your main responsibilities are when you're out on the pitch.
Yeah, so for me, being a defender, like you guys kind of alluded to earlier, 0 shots on target. That's just my day done. And you don't get much credit or shine, but that's kind of the way I like it. I don't need many stats or many post game interviews, but for me, it's just as long as the other team doesn't score and me and my 3 other defenders and my goalie feel comfortable, that's kind of the goal for me. So being able to stop them from scoring is obviously the main goal, but as well as making sure that our defenders and our goalie feel comfortable and make sure that we're all okay throughout the 90 minutes.
How awesome is it for you to be on this back line and have a guy like Niklas Herseg in net, who obviously you're going to have to build chemistry with in a very short amount of time, as you talked about earlier, but just to have his presence in the net for you guys when you guys have this open cup run on the line.
Yeah, I mean, I've never felt more comfortable in my life playing in front of somebody. I think he's such an assuring presence back there, and for me, I'm always the type of guy to make sure my guys around me I hope they're not worrying about me, and so I feel the same way about Nicholas. I've never felt any sense of worriness or scared he's going to mess up. I've never felt more confident with him, and in the summer before, we had Musa and Da, one of the best defenders in college soccer at the time. He ended up getting a professional contract. So for me, it was almost, how can I impress them too? And how can I make sure they feel comfortable with me? And now going into the summer, making sure, the guys around me are comfortable. And Nicholas does such a good job of, making guys feel okay and assured throughout the game. And when you have a 6'6" giant in goal, for me, I'm never really too worried about it.
Brandon, you had mentioned Musa there, one of my favorite Green players to watch last season, the club's all-time leader in appearances. You had mentioned he moved on. That was your partner in the center back position last year, and I'm wondering, as you are preparing for the USL2 season to start next month, how you're feeling about holding down that center back position without Musa.
Yeah, I think it was such a luxury to play next to him for throughout most of the summer. But right when our season ended and the college season ended, Adam Pfeiffer, our director, texted me right away, kind of, telling me you almost have to fill his shoes, and it's a big shoe to fill. But I think I love the challenge, and being able to step up in this type of squad is something that I've always kind of wanted. Throughout the past couple of weeks and months leading up to these games, the directors and owners have kind of almost gave me the opportunity to lead this team, and it's something I'm super grateful and to almost just kind of take over Musa's role. And in my opinion, there's no way to kind of better Musa or be better than him, but just for me, just kind of fill his shoes and try to be the same player he was to the fans. The fans loved him, and for me, is just trying to get that same respect and be able to lead these guys throughout the summer. And our goal, we've talked about it a lot, is to go back to back, and we have a lot of guys returning and such quality coming in with new guys. So for me, it's just, can I lead these guys to another national championship, me and Nicholas together?
Yeah, it seems like you guys are the team to beat as you try to go back to back. Brandon, I'm wondering about the play you had at Providence, a terrific college soccer school. Then you come to the USL2. How much of a leap is there, let's say, in talent or the intensity from going from college to this league? Is it noticeable? Is it about the same level of competition? How would you describe the difference?
I think for me, it's about the same, or almost maybe a little bit better in the sense of in the summer, just because, you're kind of almost, building all-star teams, in my opinion. There's so many teams from different states, and it's almost, you get the best players from each city, each town. So for me, I think in the summer, in the sense, it's almost just kind of, you're like kind of Jack said, you're almost kind of playing pickup a little bit. But, throughout the summer, you kind of get some time together and you get to build your squad. I also think that when you get into the fall and your college seasons, like there's not much better, right? You're playing for something more, almost just like you're playing for your school and you're playing for, owners and donors and all that type of deal. But I do think, there's not much once you get to USL2 playoffs, the amount of fans we've had, and, for us, we always thought that we were playing for the state. So I think, yeah, there's a little bit of difference in the sense of play, but, in both sides, you're playing for so much. And I think that's the great beauty of it all.
You know, we've seen these kids come in, such as yourself, from these really, really talented college programs, and then they come to Vermont and they think, oh, it's the middle of nowhere. Then they come here and they fall in love with it, right? We saw Owen O'Malley, one of the top prospects of his class in the early days of the Vermont Green. He got a Vermont tattoo on his arm. That's a real fact. So,
I love that.
And I see you on Instagram. You know, you're very much Vermont Green first, as opposed to, you know, I know you just left PC and you're on your way to Wake Forest. But how much do the guys really identify with the USL2 season more so or equal to than their college season, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, there's so much opportunity when you play in the summer. You know, for me, it's my time at PC has been great. And just to try and correct you, I'm staying at PC. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not transferring to Wake Forest or anything like that.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
You know, no worries.
We want to
But
keep
I
them
think,
here.
you know, there's
Go ahead, sorry.
there's so much opportunity in the summer for guys. You know, we like last summer we had a mix of, you know, kind of pros who might have, you know, fallen through the cracks, and then we had guys from, you know, high majors and guys who ended up winning national championships in the college season and or in the national final. So I think just being able to go back to Vermont each summer and putting together such a good squad and being able to play for the fans is something that you can't really pass up, in my opinion.
Brandon, last one here for you. If we've got any viewers out there or listeners who have maybe still not made their way out to a Vermont Green FC game yet, what can fans expect to see from the club this summer?
Yeah, I mean, I tell Chris Taylor whenever I'm back, and it's always, you know, we're almost a show. We're almost kind of like Broadway in a sense of we're putting on, you know, a little show for the fans. You know, the commentary does such a great job of keeping everyone involved and making sure everyone's having such a good time. So I think just for anyone who hasn't come, you know, it's such a great time, especially in the summer when, you know, the weather's nice and the kids are all running around and you're almost cramming for seats, or people are on the lawn at, you know, behind the goal. Just it's almost a European soccer feel in a sense. You know, everyone is so local, and almost everyone's driving maybe the max of 30 minutes to get to a game, you know, to UVM or something like that. So it's just such a great experience in the sense of playing in front of you guys, but also just, you know, being able to watch. And for me, I almost get to have the same luxury as you guys, be able to watch the women's team this year and be able to see them compete. So I think just for any message to any fans who hasn't came out yet, you know, it's, you know, why not come watch some of the best guys in college soccer play, and also, you know, just enjoy the show that we put out for you guys.
Couldn't have said it any better ourselves. Brandon Marshall, thank you so much for the time. Defender for Vermont Green FC, congratulations and good luck continuing this season. Hope you can win it all again. Thanks for being with us on the Sports Report.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate your time.